Talk so much, but you ain't saying nada. Talk so much, but you ain't saying nada. Talk so much, but you ain't saying nada. Talk so much, but you ain't saying.
Yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy IAMSU checking in from beautiful Oakland, California. Welcome back to Tapped In. Today's guest is Marisa Mendez. What up?
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm so excited about this. We did it. Okay.
I just showed her that right now. She learned fast.
I was thinking about it the whole time.
But yeah, like me and you've been homies for a long time. You helped me out a lot in my career, like especially getting me out of New York and stuff. And
yes.
Introduced me to the people Hot 97 and stuff. Like you like do a lot of instrumental stuff in people's careers and showing a lot of love. So I feel like it was cool to get you on this platform, like let you talk about your story.
Yes.
Like basically what I want to know is like, how did you get your start in media? Like what drew interest in that for you?
So when I was in high school, diplomats were super popping. Dipset, Cameron, yeah. Joel Santana. So I would say 10th grader. So Joel Santana's mom built him a website, joels.com. Mm-hmm. And on the website, they had a message board. So everybody could post, talk to each other, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I used to post, everyone else did. And so a couple times they would do meetups because there's a, being that they were a New York group, they had most fans in New York, New Jersey, the whole area. So one time, I think they were filming a show in like New York somewhere. And so a couple of us went. It was a school day, but I cut school. I had to go to that. I had my best friend come with me. And so in the lobby, Karen Civil, who at the time was just another fan, Karen Civil, big person in media, yeah. So she was like, is anybody here from joels.com? And I was like, oh, me. And she was like, oh, what's your username on the forums? I'm like, I'm Madi. And she's like, oh, I'm Karen. I'm like, oh, I've seen your little Abby. Like, I know you. And so we clicked up there. And then we ended up like getting a cameo on the TV show. We got to do like the Hey Mom Diddy Bop on the street. Like, some stupid stuff.
I'll pay money to see that.
I would love to find it too. It was called Much Music or something like that. Yeah. So we got cool from that. So both of us at that time were just Dipset fans. She wasn't really working in any type of media. Wasn't working with Dipset yet. None of that stuff. And she was a few years older than me though. So she was out of high school. I was still in high school. But from that point forward, we'd be like, all right, let's start going to Harlem more and be around them. And Joel's mom opened up a store for Joel's called Santana's Town probably a month later. So like March 03, April 03. Yeah. And we would just go there on the weekends. Like that was like the meetup spot for Dipset fans. Just go to Joel's store, hang out. Joel's would come through, Freaky Zeke, Cam, Jim Jones. And just that spot right there is really what inspired me and taught me so much. So like Joel's would come through and be like, damn, the label dropped the ball on marketing or this, that, and the third. And I'd be like, well, why didn't they do such and such? And he's like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. I'm like, oh, maybe this is like how I could kind of like be music or something. Yeah. And just through people that I met there too, like in the future, they would be super instrumental to me. So like I met Max B in that era because Max B was, under Jim Jones at that time doing that whole We Fly High, Dipset, Bird Gang
Free
stuff.
The Wave also.
For real, free Max B. And so years later, French Montana started bubbling like way before he is who he was now. Like this is like 08, 09, but it was past that era. And I hit up Max B. I'm like, yo, who's this French guy? Like, I really want to meet him. I want to work with him. He linked me with French, and I ended up working with French in the super early days, like helping him get on hella stuff, helping him get on blogs and everything. And I didn't even know what blogs were, but Karen Civil was teaching me because she had started her site at that time. And I'm in college at this point. So she's showing me how to do all this stuff, how to get him on Two Dope Boys and Now Right and all these like sites that were so important back then. And You Heard That New, all that kind of stuff. And then through that, like I had been doing like, I got him on like allhiphop.com. And so I had a relationship with those people. And then they were like, all right, you can do whatever interview you want. So I was like, okay, so I want to do it with Nicki Minaj because Nicki Minaj was new at that point. So they're like, all right, we'll hit her up, email her. So I emailed her and her team ended up calling me like, yo, besides the interview, we also want to know if you're able to like get her some more interviews in New York because we're bringing her up to New York to do a press run. Yeah. And I'm like, actually, yeah, because through working with French, which by the way I didn't really get paid for it, only if I booked him a show, but it was really just like I was so hungry to be on. Status. Yeah, I just wanted to be on. So like through the whole French thing, I ended up booking Nicki Minaj a whole press tour in 09, like before she was super popping. So like so many people now in New York know like, oh, Marissa brought her to the Source first, to the Fader first, to all these different places. Like, and like I made her Twitter page for her, which rare fact. Like a lot of people don't know that. Like I made Nicki, we were sitting in a car and I was like, she had been super anti-Twitter. I was like, Nicki, you have to get on Twitter. She's like, fine, just make it. So I made her page in the car.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then I connected her in French because they were like, they knew of each other but weren't super cool. I got them on their first song, a New York Minute remix. I had them do that stuff together. And this is all I'm in college. I'm just a random college kid that I had no
That's
idea what
so
I was
cool.
doing. I just happened to like be such a fan of everybody. And that kind of all went back to, again, like Dipset stuff, because if Max had never introduced me to French, I kind of never would have did any of that
snowball
stuff.
effect.
Yeah. And then at the same time, so that same whole time period, I was looking for an internship. And initially I got an internship at MTV. And that was literally through like, I applied online, and then I went on Facebook and I looked in the networks, whoever worked at MTV networks, and I would message everybody like, hey, I just applied for an internship. Do you think you could get me, like, just give me a recommendation? I know you don't know me. And one guy actually ended up doing so. And so I got the internship, and I ended up getting fired because I wrote a blog post, which is ironic because years later I'd end up being like a big blogger.
Yeah.
And I ended up writing a blog post about like just what I was doing and like what was going on, but that was like, it's so corporate, you can't even like take any of that. You're not supposed to tell any of that stuff. And so I ended up getting fired for it, just on a technicality really. And so they let me go, and I was looking for another internship a couple months later. And Karen, by this point now, it's like we're a few years removed from the whole Dipset era. She had already gotten a job with Dipset, like worked with them, worked with Hot 97. Like she did all that stuff already. So now she was like, all right, well, Funk Flex is looking for an intern at Hot 97. You know, want me to give you a recommendation? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want you to give me like, I just want to be somewhere. At this point, I'm in college. I'm majoring in marketing and management, which I had chosen because of the Dipset era, like all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, can you please just put a word in for me? And she puts the word in. I end up getting the internship. I do it for 2 semesters, and I graduate. And then Hot 97's like, okay, well, I mean, cool internship, but you didn't do anything like amazing. So goodbye and good luck. And I was like, damn, like I kind of was hoping that would be like, you know, my big break or whatever, and it wasn't. So I just had to do like a year working a regular 9 to 5. It was whack. I was sad. I wanted to be in the industry. I wanted to do something. And just so happened a year later, literally a whole year, I was visiting Hot 97. Now, Flex, it was too famous for me to ever like keep in touch with or whatever. But just like random people that worked there, I would keep in touch with them. I happened to be in the city. I stopped by and I visited. And Flex saw me in the studio, and he was like, hey, I remember you from last year. I'm like, yeah. He didn't even know my name. I was like, yeah, Marissa, hi, hello. And he was like, I'm starting this new blog in Flex We Trust. This is 2010. And he was like, aren't you good with writing and computers and all that stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty nice with it. He's like, come back to Hot. Like, I want you to work for me. And I'm like, yeah, cool, let's do it. Yeah. He's like, you start Monday. I'm like, cool. So I'm thinking I'm doing it for free. I was happy to do it for free. I just wanted to be back in the building and back around everything, because I'm such a like, I've done so much stuff for free. I still do stuff for free sometimes, just because like that builds the relationship for the next huge opportunity.
Right.
And I came in that Monday, and he pulled me to the side like, all right, I'm gonna pay you like X amount of dollars a week. And I was like, what? Like, and I'm already working a 9 to 5, so now I'm getting 2 incomes. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. Like, it was so crazy. And we started, and within probably like 6 months, the blog like blew up. Like that, it was beyond like what any of us thought it could be. And I was able to quit my job and just do that with him. And then I kind of just built it up from there, and like just from building relationships. Now I have relationships from having worked with French. At that point, we kind of had gone our separate ways just because like I couldn't afford to travel with him and not get paid too much.
He was blowing up a lot at that time.
And it was just hard for me. Like I had that 9 to 5. I was too scared to quit it and like go on the road, because it was like not 100% like he's super famous yet.
I want to stop you right there. What was it like working with Flex? Like, was it hard?
No. I think the first year when I interned for him, it was very hard. I was super intimidated, and intern culture at that time, I mean, I think it's still a little the same, but back in the day, like, there was less rules. Now there's so many like rules because people were getting sued and all that crazy stuff or whatever. But back then it was like
I feel like they would send interns to the ringer. Like,
oh my God,
they do a lot of stuff.
They literally, remember that whole Bad Boy? They made you go to Juniors for cheesecake. They literally sent us to Juniors. They let us drive though, but we literally had to go to Juniors for the cheesecake for them. Like it was that kind of era, and I was just super scared to like talk, and we didn't really get to interact much. There, like in Hot 97, it's like the main room, and then there was an outside room with the phones and stuff. So I would just be on the outside answering the phones, ordering the food. So I never really got to show and prove like if I could do anything really. So when he actually brought me back to write for him, I think because I was doing such a good job at what I was doing, Flex immediately was like, "You're the one. Like you're my golden child." So like it was a whole different dynamic, and I'll never forget the first day. Like it was in that time when he brought me back to really blog for him. He had gotten my phone number to like obviously call me for like blog stuff. and I was like out shopping at the store, and I see Funk Flex pop up on my phone, and like I'll never forget that feeling. Like I grew up on Hot 97, you know, it's like the biggest station, and Funk Flex is like one of the most famous radio personalities in the world, and to me, like even more famous because I grew up on him. So like to just look at my phone and see Funk Flex is calling because he believes in something that I do, like that's a feeling I'll never forget in my life. Like, and to this day, even as I was making the transition later from New York to LA, he was calling me every day, like, are you good? Are you okay? Like, are you finding a job? Is everything like all right? Like, he's still to this day, he'll just call me like, how's Revolt? How's everything going? Like, he's like really like
How did the Ebro thing come about? Because I would see you sometimes on video
yeah,
with
Ebro
him.
in the morning, yeah. So once I was doing in Flex We Trust, and Flex would have me physically in the studio with him every night. His show is 7 to midnight, Monday through Friday. So we were doing that for since 2010 through 2013. Around 2013, he's like, you know what? Work from home. Like, you do too much. Like, I know you want to go out at night. You never get the chance to because that's industry event time, like 7 to 10 vibes. So he finally let me work from home. So for like 8 to 10 months I was home, and then he calls me towards the end of 2013. He was like, Angie Martinez is starting a website. This is when Angie was still with Hot 97 before she went to Power. She's requesting you to help her launch it. And I'm like, me? Like, now Angie is like, Flex is dope and big, but Angie as a woman and as a Latina woman, like Angie Martinez is like God, bro. Like, the fact that she was saying like, I want Marissa to do my site was like, oh my God.
Validation for sure.
So they brought me onto Angie's show. So I was in the afternoons at that point. And then she left probably like 4 months into it or whatever, went over to Power 105. And so then I was kind of they just had me like kind of floating around in the studio. And towards the end of the year, this is 2014 we're in. So towards the end, I ran into Rosenberg at an event. Obviously we had gotten cool through the years, but we were never like this.
I think this is about the time when I met you.
Yeah. Me and you had known each other probably for like 3-4 months at this point. So me and him run into each other at something, and I'm just telling him a story like, yeah, I was dating this guy and he played the crap out of me, like just laughing about it. Because to me, I've always been able to take those experiences and it's funny to me, so I won't make other people laugh about it. And he was like, you are so funny and you don't realize it, and you're so open and honest. Like you should be a character on Ebro in the morning. Right. And I was like, yeah, I would love to be a character. He's like, let me talk to Ebro and I'm going to talk to you and I'll figure it out. So it took about a month of him going back and forth with Ebro. And Ebro was like, you know, it'd be perfect. Like, you come on the show, you be a character. Like, you know, we'll develop your personality. And I want to start a website too. So you could do that at the same time. And let's just do that. So January 2015, we started doing that. So I became like just like a recurring role. I didn't have like a permanent everyday role. And then a month later, Joe Budden called me up, and him and I had been friends for years. And he was like, I want to start a podcast. So I was like, let's start a podcast. So Rosenberg kind of showed us the ropes for that. So it ended up it was like a dope period for me. Like I had gone from like just little blogger to like all of a sudden now I'm on Ebro in the morning. Now I have a podcast with Joe Budden. Like it was a big period for me. Did that 2014, 2015. 2015, 2016. And then eventually Joe and I fell out. I don't even want to get into it, but he's whatever. And I was still on Ebro in the morning, but I started feeling like LA was just calling me. Yeah. Me and Mike Zombie, who's produced Started From the Bottom, as you know.
Shouts out to Mike Zombie. Also produced on Kill 3, produced Aura.
Yes.
Great producer.
Amazing producer. And he's from Jersey, which is important. Me and him had been coming out for Grammy weekends, BET weekends, all those kind of weekends. And every time we'd come, we'd be like, yo, LA is the vibe. Like, we should be out here. And once Joe and I fell out, around the same time, I got evicted from my apartment because I was doing Airbnb.
Wow, trifling. So this is like a pivotal point in your life.
Yes. Like, I had nothing really happen. And I'm like, I should probably go to LA.
Did it ever cross your mind, like, I'm finna give this shit up and start doing something else?
Hell yeah. Just because I felt so burnt from Joe. Like, that was like, he was beefing with someone else, and to get at them, he fired me. That was really the scenario. And so he sent me a text message like, you're fired. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you even... I didn't even know what he was mad at. Literally, it was like completely out of the blue. I'm like, for what? And he just wrote back, you are fired. I'm like, but for what? And then it's kind of like a self-conscious thing. Like, is anyone going to care about me anymore? I'm not on this poppin' podcast. Like, you know, should I move to LA? Should I leave Hot? So I kind of stayed for probably like 4 or 5 more months.
Figure it out.
Yeah, like, and I stay with Hot 97. I'm like, I'm too scared to just leave. That's a big brand to just walk away from. Like, it's not like I was getting fired. Then it's kind of low-key easier because you have no other option. Like, all right, well, fuck, I'm going to just go. But, like, to actively just walk away when you have such a huge platform is probably, like, the scariest thing you could ever do in life. And just after a few more months, I was like, nah, like, something in my spirit was like, LA is where you have to be. And me and Zombie came out for Camp Flog Gnaw in the fall, and we had such a good trip. And I was with a girl that had never been to LA, and I'm like, let's see if she has the same experience. Like, we're gonna do the same stuff, and if she is like, it's whatever, and I'm still thinking it's super fun, then maybe it really is that I just love LA. I should move here. Yeah. And she thought it was boring, and I'm like, no, it was so fun. And then Mike ends up in the studio with Chris Brown, A$AP Rocky, and French Montana.
That's fire.
And I'm like, you don't get those kind of sessions at home, Mike. Like, you need to be in LA. Like, you know, to me, that's my little brother. So I'm like, I want you to, like, push you to your full potential. Like, you need to be in LA and you need to work. And I want to be in LA and I want to work and grow. And I feel like I kind of reached my ceiling at Hot 97. Like, maybe there's more I can do in LA. So that session was what made us like, let's stop waiting. Let's
take it serious.
Yeah. And so we just booked a flight for a couple weeks from then. We came out for a week. We looked for apartments. We found one. I put in my 2 weeks at Hot 97, and they knew it was coming. So it was a technical 2 weeks, but they knew it. They already planned to, like, for my replacement and everything. And I was like, I'm gonna just go.
Wanna see me come up? I know all my real friends wanna see me